Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to be walking you through exactly how to use the design tool in Zazzle, and by the end of this video you should be pretty knowledgeable and understand how to use it. So let's dive right in. I also have this video basically written out in post format on my website right here, so I will link to that in the description below. So I've got a sticker here ready to go. Let's just open it up and let's dive right in. Let's start on the left hand side at the top, and right here, the text icon, this is how you're going to add text to your design. Hit the add text button and you can type in whatever you want. Cool, so our text is on the screen, it's on the design, you can see here, on the design. And there are a few things that you can do to edit your text. So first of all, if you want to change your text, there's two ways that you can edit what you have in here. You can double click on it and change whatever you want, or you can hit the edit text button at the top of the right hand sidebar right here and edit your text there. Next is if you want to change your font, it's also on the right hand sidebar at the top, and they have a few options. If you kind of have an idea of what kind of text you want but you're not sure exactly the specific text, you can say like, oh, I want handwriting, and then pick from these, or if you know you want sans serif or serif, so you can pick there, or like script, which is really popular. You can pick from all these script and calligraphy fonts. Next we have the color, so you can pick a color of your choice, really simple. And then, oh, another way to select a color is a color picker. So for example, if we have this on the screen here, little dinosaur egg, and you know you like that blue, you can grab the color picker and bring it over and grab the blue. If you have a specific hex code that you know that you want to use, maybe you have a color palette that you've picked outside of, on like coolers or something like that, then you can copy and paste your hex code in here, or you can use the custom color picker, which is always fun, and grab something there. Next, we've got the size. So if you have a specific size that you want your font to be, you can pick it here. You can say, I want it to be 15, or you can hit the little arrows, and simple as that. We've got the justification if you want it to the left or the right or centered. You can also hit these buttons to scale your font size up and down. You can rotate it. You can specify the angle if you want, or you can hit these rotate buttons and they're going to rotate it at 45-degree angles in either direction. Or you can flip your text here. And the anchor button. So you may notice I have anchored to the top, so if I write more text, it's going to, like, it won't go any higher than here. So if I add to the text, just like, it adds it down here. Whereas if I anchored it to the bottom and did that, it's going to add it to the top. See, it adds it to the top, but this bottom row stays anchored where it was. And then if I do it to the center, it's going to add it in either direction. So you can kind of see the little arrows. And let's center it. So this is really handy if you have your design centered and you hit the center anchor. It's really good because then the text is going to it's going to stay centered basically. So it's going to add it in either direction. Oh, I had a... there we go. Looks a little bit better now, it's centered. So the letter spacing, really simple. You can change the spacing of your letters. And then line spacing, if you want the lines to be closer together or further apart, depending on what your design is, it can come in handy. the curvature if you want a little curve to your, the curvature does not work well when you have multiple lines. So let's put this all on one line. And then let's curve it. Cool, so we got your text here. There we go, and then the more options little section here. So make object permanent and always visible. This is an option, but if you want to make your object, if you want to make your text a template, then you can't do that. So here's the template toggle, and that's going to get grayed out if I make the object permanent and always visible. There you go. So let's change that, and then let's make it a template object, which means the customer can change it to whatever they want it to be. Your text. Cool, and then make sure, I do this a lot and I actually did it in a previous video, when you hit the make this template object, so I find Zazzle can be a little bit slow sometimes, and I'll hit it and then it doesn't go fast enough, and then I hit it again, but it then ends up toggling this button off, which means that your template isn't going to show up on the front end, because allow editing on a product page means that the customer has to then go into the design back end to change the text. So I hope that makes sense. Well, I'll just show you. Look, okay? We have the template. This is toggled on, allow editing on product page. You see the personalize this template. And then if I toggle this off, and hit done, it's no longer there. So you make sure, don't double click, just give Zazzle that extra second for the template to get toggled on, because I often get impatient. So that's pretty much all you need to know for text. Let's move on to the next item on the left hand sidebar, and that's elements. And this is where you can get your basic shapes and lines. So let's get a square or a rectangle. And then we've got rounded rectangles, we've got circles, triangles, and lines. So the rectangle, pretty simple. I mean, the shapes all work the same, so I'm just going to do one. But we've got our fill color, which we can change. Oh God, I don't know why it's been doing this to me. And then the border color. So you can change those two things. You can change the thickness of the border. So you can make it no border or whatever you want. Okay, so the fill is going to fill the whole entire screen with your shape. So fill is going to look like that. And then fit is what's going to happen is whatever edges are, I'm going to show you. It's easier to show you. So this is a perfect square, so it would do the same thing, but let's make it a rectangle. And what's going to happen is it's going to expand it until these two edges on the side hit the edges here. So fit, and then it's going to do that. So it's fit it as big as it can in the screen. Whereas fill is going to like fill the whole screen. I hope that makes sense. And then pretty much the same icons for text. We can scale it, we can rotate it, we can flip it, which with a square you don't see anything, and then you can make it permanent and always visible if you want. Okay, and that's pretty much it for shapes or elements, I mean. I'm just getting over being sick, so I'm like, so for icons you pretty much want to ignore the icons tab, but I'll just show you right now. Let's just say I grab this icon here and now hit done, and it's grayed out. I cannot sell this design because it's no longer my design. I'm using this icon that does not belong to me. It is Zazzle's property, so yeah, I can't sell it. So don't even bother if you want to make money on Zazzle. If you want to sell things, then this is absolutely useless. This tab is useless to us. Okay, so next we've got backgrounds, and really quickly, these most popular backgrounds you're gonna have the exact same problem. You cannot use these backgrounds and sell a product because these do not belong to you. Otherwise though, we can change the background color if we want. Right? We can upload a background image. Let's let's give this one a go. Cool. I never actually do that. I always just upload my images like into layers and then use those. I never upload it as a background, but that's just me. I don't know. I think that's relatively new, so I just never took to it. We've got the My Files tab. So this is where all your designs and design elements are sitting or hanging out. You can upload a new one right here, or you can also upload from your phone, which is a really interesting idea if you take pictures out when you're out and about and you use those in your designs. This is probably a pretty good tool for you. I personally do not, so I haven't used it, but it seems like a good tool. Okay, so last but not least for the My Files section is your image browser. I never use this, but I think that if I was starting now, like I think it can be really valuable. So I do want to go over this for you guys. I think this would come in handy specifically if you have multiple niche stores and organization can get a little, like files can get a little crazy, right, when we don't organize them. So you can create albums. So let's just say like niche 1. And then niche 2. And then you can upload all your images specifically to this folder or to the other folder. And then the last thing, actually, one more thing with the My Files section is you can search your media. This is where naming your files properly and having a good naming system comes in handy as well, because you can search by file name. Okay, so that's the My Files tab. So let's look at the product tab. There's not really any actionable steps here unless you want to just like change the size of your product or the shape, I guess, actually. This is where you can pick the different options for that like product type. Okay, but also in this section is about this product here on the left hand side, and this gives you the dimensions of the product, which is helpful if you're designing outside of Zazzle. So if you're designing in Illustrator or Photoshop or Canva or wherever you design, this gives you the information you need to decide on like what size your artboard is going to be. Okay, but that's pretty much all there is to the product tab. Next is our layers. This shows the two items that I have, the two like elements, design elements I have on this design. And it's really just the rectangle and the text, but here, so you can see the rectangle is over top of the text, and we can just drag this down. And now the text is on top. But you can also use these little forward and backward buttons here to do the exact same thing. And you can also change your background color in the layers tab as well, which is usually what I do. I don't usually go to the background tab. I do it in layers. Okay, cool. So that's pretty much that whole left-hand tab. And there's, oh yeah, the help. So I just wanted to add, okay, there's all these shortcuts here, which is great. The keyboard shortcuts, I mean, they're pretty much the same ones that you use for everything else. Control A is select all. Control C, Control V is copy paste, you know, the basics. But I did want to go over the guidelines really quick, which you can toggle the guidelines on and off up here. We're going to go over this tab in a minute here. But this dotted green line, you want to keep your design elements within the dotted green line or they risk getting cut off. And I know it looks like there's a lot of space here, but there isn't. That is not a lot of space, and your design is most likely going to get cut off. If you go like, you might be okay to do this much off the green line, but you run the risk and not, because it's print on demand, every print is a little bit different, and one of them is going to get cut off eventually. So just keep it within the green line. Okay, so let's go back to the My Files and talk about images a little bit here. I've got this one here. This cute little froggy, I think it's just from Creative Fabrica. You can get rid of this. If you, for example, we've got this frog here, but maybe we're like, oh, I like the positioning, but I don't like the frog. I want to put something else in there. So one thing that you can do is just like click on image that you want to put in there from the My Files section, but then you need to resize it again, right? So what I actually like to do is click on the frog and hit this change image button. And then it's going to keep it in the same position. Oh, come on. Don't tell me you're not working now. And then we can just replace it with any of these images, and it's going to keep the size and the positioning. There we go. So it's like kept to that size and positioning. So that's a really easy way to replace images. We've got some filters that we can work with here that Zazzle has built into the design tool. Right? We can crop the image if you want to cut a little bit off or something, which I don't actually want to do. And then the aspect ratio, it looks like it's 1:1 already, but if you want to make it narrow, and same with the shapes, we've got the fill and we've got the fit, so we can make it all big, and I think it'll do the same, yeah. And we can scale it up, scale it down, we can rotate it, and flip it. And then I'm just gonna change it back to that little guy for you, because Zazzle has this really cool tool where you can get rid of the white background. So that's super handy to have within the Zazzle tool itself. And then same with the text, we can make it permanent and always visible, or we can make it a template. And if you make it a template, you definitely most likely want to have the fill option selected for the template. Okay, so that is most of the design tool, and then let's just quickly go over this tab here. So I'm gonna get rid of the text, and let's make this guy smaller because I'm gonna show you some stuff. So first of all, we've got the undo and redo. Super simple. That you can also press Control Z and then Control Shift Z to redo. We don't have the backward forward option available to us right now because we didn't have enough elements, but here, there we go, backward forward, which we can see the layers changing there. And then we've got this tiling function, which is really fun. So that is going to tile it, and we've got different options there. And then with the tiling function, because there's a little trick that I've discovered. Let's, for example, say like we want to tile these frogs, and it's like they're cute, but I feel like there's not enough, they're too big and there's not enough space in between. So you can change the size here, but it's going to keep everything kind of to scale. Or when it's tiled, you can hit the scale down button here, and it only scales down the image, but it doesn't like the scale. How do I explain this? The tiles like stay in place, if that makes sense. So there's more space in between them. And then like you can play around with that and kind of figure it out. And then we've got the align tool, so you can get it aligned to either side or the center or up, down, center. We can toggle on and off our guidelines, and we can toggle on and off the grid lines. And then the other thing we can do is we can group elements together. And then, so I have these grouped, and then you could tile them there. Right? It's kind of cute. Okay, last but not least, we're gonna go over the masking tool. So we've got, let's do a circle. These three shapes here. And we have a few photos, but the photos are rectangular and we don't want that. So rather than like cropping the photos perfectly or whatever, we can just put that over the square. It's got her face, and then we can mask it. And then same thing. Bring it down a little bit. Mask. Let's do another one of him. And mask. So you can mask for photos, which is kind of cool with that. And Zazzle might have come out and said, oh yeah, okay, let's see. I have this shape here. It's an SVG. So let's see if I can mask over that. I think I can. Oh, there you go. So if you have an SVG, an SVG file that's like a blob or whatever, that's mine is a blob, you can actually mask your own custom shapes as well, which is pretty cool. And then again with SVGs, because I just have this one, I think, in here, as long as they're under 6 colors, you can recolor them within the Zazzle tool, which is pretty cool. I can go over that in more detail if you need, just let me know in the comments below. Okay, so I think that's pretty much it for the Zazzle design tool. I hope that was helpful for you, and if you have any questions, please let me know in the comments below. And be sure to subscribe for more Zazzle tips. Bye.